Hi and welcome back. My name's Faye. I'm a UK-based wedding photographer shooting weddings all over the world, and today I'm coming in with a really helpful video, or at least one that I hope is going to be helpful because a lot of my friends have been asking for support with this specific topic, and also mentees and just basically like people across the industry who are finding this year a little bit of a pinch. Obviously, we're living in a cost of living crisis, everything is going up, and I'm really blessed to be still quite busy generating a lot of income in this climate, which is something that I do not take for granted. But it's not an accident, there's a lot of strategy there. So this video is going to help you with 5 simple things that you could do quite quickly to generate a little bit of extra income. Some of them will suit you more than others, but hopefully even if you implement one of the things, it's an easy way to get a little bit of extra cash when things feel extra tight. So let's dive in. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the easiest one to implement, because your warmest audience, i.e. the audience that is most receptive to your sales, your marketing, is the one that you've already converted. So that would be your booked clients. We're going to talk about upselling. Now, upselling in the past has got a bit of a rap for being quite negative, quite salesy, quite icky, and that is definitely not what I want you to think about it as. I want you to sort of reframe it in your brain as something that is providing more value to your clients and making their lives easier, and you're also keeping everything in-house. Now, we know that the more different chefs there are in the kitchen, things are going to go wrong, especially with something as personal as art, as your photography, as your content creation, as your videography. And I'm speaking to you as one of those 3 because those are the most common audience that I have here on YouTube. I want you to think about other things that you could do within your skill set that could bring more value to your clients. Things that I do, for example, I offer analog film, which is quite a common one, although I wouldn't recommend that as something to do to generate income because, let's be honest, it costs a bloody fortune. I offer content creation through my sister company, Curated Content Co. I also offer things like second shooters, turnaround, express turnaround. But the one that I think that a lot of people sleep on is additional coverage. And quite often when I stress this to mentees, they'll say things like, but it's a UK wedding, that's just not how we do things culturally in the UK. And I would like to sort of contradict that or challenge that and say, is it because you're not making it accessible to your couples? Now, I get in touch with my couples twice a year using my newsletter template, which I will link down below. It is a really easy way to show them the value of the other services that you provide without pressuring them into committing to any of those. It's just something that will plant the seed in their head. They will then go off and think about it. And it's not uncommon for couples to receive that maybe 6 months before their wedding and not get in touch with me until a few weeks before their wedding to say, hey, is there any way that we could still add this on? I actually send a template out twice a year. It depends, the months change every time because I look at my master spreadsheet to see when the bulk of my weddings are, and I always want to try and get it out about 6 months before and then about a month before, because typically that is when they'll know how much budget they've got left to spend, and if they have got money left over for these services, that's the warmest time that you're going to get them to convert. With things like pre and post wedding coverage, you just want to make it really accessible for them. So I might put in the newsletter template about additional hours being set at X amount per hour, and just saying that I offer a minimum of 2 hours per additional day. So if they've got a pre or post event, I might put some example photos in there of a different wedding event that I've done, and then once it's in there, you've planted the seed, and then it's up to them to then come back to you. So it's not salesy, it's not icky, it's just letting your couples know what else you do in a really informal way. I'd really recommend investing in something like the newsletter template if you're unsure how to communicate this information to your couples. It's really aesthetic, it's visually led, it's really easy for you to put your images into it so your couples can see what they're going to get. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is not like something that you might be expecting to get in this video, because it's not necessarily something that's going to get you sales straight away, but in my mind it is something that will convert more of the right couples to your services, and that is to audit your online presence. And we're talking everything from your Instagram, your TikTok, your website visuals, absolutely everything that is to do with your online footprint you want to go through. And if there is anything that you are not obsessed with, get rid of it. Now, we know that our work changes all the time based on our interests, our life experience, our couples. Maybe we've worked at a certain type of venue lots and we're not getting the value from that sort of venue anymore, we're not enjoying it, then we want to get rid of that type of venue off our socials. For me, for example, I find working in barns really difficult. I'm massively inspired by light and big modern open spaces. I know that I'm not creating my best work in a barn. So if there are nondescript pictures where it's not necessarily really obvious that it's a barn, fine. But if it's really obviously a barn, you won't see lots of red brick on my Instagram, for example. That's not to say that I've not done weddings where they've been red brick and I've absolutely loved them. Of course I have. But I know that normally when couples get in touch with me, they're expecting certain colours, a certain palette, a certain vibe. And I find it really difficult to recreate the work that I'm putting out on Instagram in a barn setting. So I wouldn't have that on my profile. Other things like things that are aesthetic that you're not necessarily aligning with, just be a bit more considerate. Now, I know that that's a controversial topic at the moment because there's a lot in the industry about how weddings have become all about the aesthetics and not about the moment. And I completely agree that like things are taking more of a turn towards the aesthetic. For me, we are visual like artists, like what we do is visual, and it's really important for us to be proud of the work that we're putting out there. That doesn't mean that a wedding has to look a certain way for us to enjoy it. It's just because we are so visual, because we are so artful, if we are not enjoying the aesthetic of what we're taking photos of, it does massively impact the way that we see the world and the way that we approach the day and the coverage. There is a photographer out there for everybody. So there is someone, the aesthetic that you're not finding as inspiring, there is someone that will absolutely adore shooting that aesthetic. And the other thing that I'd say to that as well is it doesn't mean that if you get a really gorgeous inquiry, you're not going to do it just because they've said that they're getting married in a barn. You might really connect with the other things when they tell you about their story or about this or about that. Like, just because you're not putting photos of barns, for example, onto your Instagram, it doesn't mean that you're not going to entertain those inquiries or entertain documenting those real relationships. It just means that you're being a bit more curated with the visuals, which I think as a visual artist is really important. The next thing that we're going to talk about is mini sessions. Mini sessions are a really easy way to generate income fast. Typically, it wouldn't be for couple shoots, it would be for things like family work, motherhood work, and I just want to share what I do. So for example, it's coming up to Christmas. I've already sold out 3 dates. I'm really, really happy and generated a decent chunk of money across 3 different days. I've booked out studio for the whole day. I've put it into 30-minute slots, but the sessions are 20 minutes only. I've marketed the sessions as 20 minutes only. And I've said 20 minutes, £150, all images. And I've put all the times on my stories. People can choose which ones they want. The only thing that you need to do when you communicate these mini sessions to your couples is communicate how long the session's going to be, how many images they expect to get, obviously the location of the mini sessions, and also when they expect to get those photos back. If you are doing things like Christmas mini sessions, for example, I'm doing mine in November. I've said that everybody will get the images within 2 weeks, so they will get them with plenty of time to print them off for family members and stuff like that before Christmas, if that's what they want. But mini sessions are the easiest way, especially if you've been doing weddings for a little bit of time. You've probably got couples that have had families of their own, or they know people. There will have been people at the wedding that follow you from the wedding and they've got kids. If it doesn't feel appropriate to do motherhood or lifestyle for you, then think about things like branding shots for small businesses, product photography, food photography for venues, because they've probably got Christmas menus. You could reach out to them. Those are going to be harder to convert because they're a little bit more niche. The motherhood is kind of like tried and tested. But if that doesn't align with you, there are definitely reduced rate shoots. People are just happy to get some updated imagery. So the price is a lot lower than if you were doing a full shoot, but it's for a really small chunk of time. And what you might find is that you get in touch with them and you communicate the reduced price for the really short, shoot, but then they might come back to you and say, oh, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm really glad that you did. I really, really want to do a small shoot, but I don't think that's going to be enough time. Can we do a double session? Can we do a triple session? And then you've upsold from the initial mini session that you got in with. That initial offer has just helped you to get in the door with them, which is really positive. Next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is using things like PicTime and Pixie set galleries to help you generate more income. There are a few different ways that you can do this. The first one is the existing gallery backup. So I have it set to 6 months. All of my galleries expire, and then if my couples want to keep their photos online, they have to pay £25 per year, which is a relatively low amount of money to keep their galleries online. Now, if you just do the automated things, it sounds like a robot's done it, nobody's going to engage with it. It's really important to put a little bit of extra work in to get your clients to convert to that offer. So I've rewritten all of the copy, and I've spoken about how it's not just about keeping them online, but how if they keep them online, if we do other shoots like motherhood shoots, anniversary shoots down the line, all of their images will be available through that one gallery. I've also spoken about how it means that they can still download their gallery, share it with friends and family at the click of a button because it's kept it online. And then I'll also talk about the extended cloud backup, which means that their images are more protected. Everything's digital these days. We live in a digital world. Everybody wants everything accessible at the touch of a button. So focusing on that when you do your marketing and you talk about the benefits of keeping it online, that's going to help you to convert more clients than just using the general thing which says keep your images safe, because they'll be expecting you to keep the images safe anyway. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing that you can do with PicTime galleries, with Pixie Set galleries, and if you're not using either of these brands, by the way, there is a referral link down below. It's just the generic one that they give all users, but there's some extra bonuses with PicTime, especially this month, so check that out down below. Is sales. So you might do a 20% off sale, you might do an anniversary sale. It's completely up to you, but you can apply coupons to your galleries and email them. And when you email them to your clients, just write a personal message, tell them something about the day, say like you can't wait to see which images they print out. You might even do things like ask couples, so go through your receipts on PicTime or Pixie Set, look at who's bought images, send them a quick message and say, would you mind taking some pictures of your gallery wall? Like, I'm really intrigued to see what it looks like and I'd love to share it to my stories, because once people see it, again, it plants that seed. So you might just put it on stories and be like, oh my God, I love it when people print their photos, because let's be honest, we do. And then other couples are going to see it and think, wow, that's such a good idea. I'm definitely going to do that. And then they're more likely to go off and do it. If they've had an automated email and then it jogs their memory that they wanted to do that, even better, but that's what you're going to do. So the last thing is the most important, and you're not going to be expecting this, maybe, I don't know, but it's to actually share your bloody work. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous because we should be sharing our work anyway, but let's be real. Who does consistently? Like, even me, I'm like years into it at this point. I'm a well-oiled machine, and I still find myself sometimes, I'm like, oh my God, I've not posted in a week. Like, what am I doing? Let's get back to it. Obviously, a bit of that comes from being booked, so I don't have that pressure. But sometimes if you're not booked, it can feel even harder to get the confidence to do it because you're lacking that win that you get every time that somebody books you. What you'll find is the more you post, like, you're posting not just for prospective clients, but you're posting for your couples as well. Some benefits that you might not expect that have happened to me that I know will happen to you if you continue to post work that you're obsessed with as well is things like your styling and the things that you're curating affecting the styling of your future couples. For example, I did a wedding at the Ned a few weeks ago, and when I got there, the bride had given the Ned a picture of my Vicarage Boutique workshop from a couple of years ago. That was her inspo. Another example, I had a bride that like put pearls all over her head from a really cool, like extraterrestrial themed shoot that I did with the amazing Bex a few years ago. So you never know what work you're putting out there is going to inspire your couples, and then it means that the booked couples that you've got become even more aligned too. So share your work. If you are finding it quite hard to share your work, you don't know what to do, you're like lost, you're not sure like what to post, maybe you find captions hard, this is something that we cover in great detail in my course Align. So I will link that down below because there's one space left. So it would be amazing if you could join. But if you are not in the position to invest right now and you just want a bit of base help, something that helps me is doing a wide photo versus a cropped photo. So zoomed in, zoomed out, zoomed in, zoomed out. So hopefully that will help you. But if you're finding that you need lots more guidance about not just the curation of the images, but the captions, what to write, the thought process behind choosing which images, how to plan your content, basically just everything to do with content creation in a lot more detail, Align is definitely the place that you want to be because we cover it in so much detail. So in a nutshell, that's it. 5 ways to generate income imminently. I hope that you found this really helpful. If you did, please do consider subscribing and head to Faye Wild Photography on YouTube to explore loads more of my content. Thank you so much.